Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Easy Dharma for the New Normal. And today we're going to start a new program. And as I think you can read the caption already, right? And you know what it is. But anyway, let me see if I'm online. Just now I pressed start and it didn't start. So I just got to make sure. For some reason, my thing is very, very slow. And hello, nothing's loading. Okay, I think I'm online. I saw something popped up, but it's loading pretty slow. Okay, I am online with my shiny face. Okay, good evening, Kin Ho. Yeah, okay, let me turn on myself. And okay, so today we're going to start on Introduction to Buddhism by Geshe Kelsang. I thought, well, I didn't get any suggestions besides 8 verses. I don't want to start 8 verses at the moment yet. And I thought I should get into the basics with you guys. And from my experience, this is one of the best introductory book I know out there. One of the few good ones, because it's very simple, easy, yet it has a lot of information. Even an intermediate person would learn a little bit. Okay, so I thought it will suit you guys. And you see, it has topics ranging from the Buddha, who was the Buddha, to the mind, to past and future lives, karma, meditation, death, and so forth. Okay, so I thought it was very nice. And some parts I will read it more. Like this chapter, I think I'm going to read it more. Some chapters I would not read it, perhaps read certain sections. So I've actually read ahead. Yeah, I've read ahead, and it was interesting because the first chapter is about the Buddha's life. And I know some of you thinking, oh, but I already know, I watched the little Buddha, but there's a lot more that you don't see in the movie. And if you've seen, most of us learn about the Buddha's life through a little pictorial, in the Buddhist temple, in the Thai temple, or in certain picture books, right? But this one has details that is interesting and is good for us to know. Okay. Oh, I see a lot of people. My screen just went off. Okay, I see Jacinta, Calvin, hello. Mr. Lam, Munting, hello, Munting, good evening. Fox Swan, Wang, I hope I got your name correctly. Esther Go, Jerry Go. So I will now actually go on a very basic level to suit the title essentially. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, all right? So I think it's good that I read so that I don't miss any points, and I'll explain certain parts. Some parts I think I need to explain more than what the book contains. Okay, Chapter 1 of Introduction to Buddhism. Who was Buddha? In general, Buddha means awakened one. Someone who was awakened from the sleep of ignorance and who sees things as they really are. A Buddha is a person who is completely free from all faults and mental obstructions. There are many people who have become Buddhas in the past and many people who will become Buddhas in the future. The Buddha who is the founder of the Buddhist religion is called Buddha Shakyamuni. Shakya is the name of the royal family into which he was born. And Muni means able one. Buddha Shakyamuni was born as a royal prince in 624 BC in a place called Lumbini, which was originally in northern India but is now part of Nepal. His mother's name was Queen Maya Devi and his father's name was King Shuddadana. One night, Queen Maya Devi dreamt that a white elephant descended in from heaven and entered into a womb. The white elephant entering her womb indicated that on the night she had conceived a child who was pure and a powerful being. Okay, before I go on to the next page, right? The definition here is, it goes on about the Buddha, what A general definition of what a Buddha is was awaken from ignorance. So basically, what is trying to tell you that in general, all of us are plagued by ignorance. So ignorance is not, most of us, the just general term of ignorance tend to be not knowing. We don't know. Okay, that is true. That's one part of it. But a major part in Buddhism, when we're talking about ignorance, is not seeing things as how they really are. What does that mean? Not seeing things how they really are. It means that what we perceive or what we see of people or situations, of circumstances, your life, and so forth, we see it according to our self-interest, we see according to our past experience, we see it based on our attachment, based on what we know, what we've experienced. So what we experience, what we know, what we have, our emotions of that time, everything clouds how we see things, and it changes our perspective of things. So what happens is, that's why we don't see things as they really are. So a Buddha is someone who is able to perceive things as how they truly are on a very, very deep level. So that's why a Buddha is the awakened one. Buddha means awaken from ignorance. All right. So this is as simple as that. To basically give you a general understanding of the Buddha's, mental attainment, mental ability to perceive things. Okay. So it goes. So it gives you an idea of what a Buddha is. A Buddha is not a god. A Buddha is not a Superman. Although sometimes they do call it that. They give some names and some terms to refer to the Buddha as something like a superhuman or Superman. But actually, a Buddha is just a man. Just like you, or a woman, just like you, just like me. But he has achieved something we have not. We have yet to achieve. And that's what a Buddha is. So this details his life. All right. Okay, so the story begins with the mother having the dream. So usually when a holy person is about to be born, they're extraordinary beings. These are beings that have the potential to change things, to change, to start a new, like Buddha, what he did was he started a new religion. He started following. He started the Buddha Dharma. He changed many people's lives. So what happens is usually there will be portents, or the mother would have a dream. Basically dreams lah. The mother usually have a dream, and some auspicious dream to indicate. Usually, who gives the dreams? How come the mother can dream? It's perhaps more likely other beings who are kind enough to show. Sometimes the worldly gods, the deities, reveal certain signs for us because it will guide us. It gives us an understanding of who this baby, this person who is about to be born, who he really is, and what he will achieve, his potential to achieve. Okay, that's why even Rinpoche is like Sam Rinpoche. Before he was born, his mother dreamt something similar of an elephant as well. Elephant is usually symbolic of attained beings, of bodhisattvas. Okay, but it's usually that. The meaning is that. Okay, I see more people. I see Tata Ong, Hannah, Sharon. Good evening, Jerry. I think I said hello to you earlier. All right, next page. So the mother had a dream. Let me read it again. One night, Queen Maya Devi dreamt that a white elephant descended from heaven and entered her womb. The white elephant entering her womb indicated that on that very night, she had conceived a child who was pure and a powerful being. The elephants descending from heaven indicated that a child came from Tushita heaven, the pure land of Buddha Maitreya. Later, when she gave birth to the child, instead of experiencing pain, the queen experienced a special pure vision in which she stood holding the branch of a tree with her right hand, while the gods Brahma and Indra took the child painlessly from her side. They then proceeded to honor the infant by offering him ritual ablutions. When the king saw the child, he felt as if all his wishes had been fulfilled, and he named the young prince Siddhartha. He invited a Brahmin seer to make predictions about the prince's future. The seer examined the child with his clairvoyance and told the king, there are signs that the boy would become either a Chakravartin, king, a ruler of the entire world. Chakravartin literally means a ruler of the entire world, or a fully enlightened Buddha. However, ever since the time for Chakravartin kings is now past, it is certain that he will become a Buddha, and that his beneficial influence will pervade 1,000 worlds like the rays of a sun. As the young prince grew up, he mastered all the traditional arts and sciences without needing any instruction. He knew 64 different languages, each of which his own alphabet, and he was also very skilled at mathematics. He once told the father he would count all the atoms in the world in the time it takes to draw a single breath. Although he did not need to study, he did so to please his father and to benefit others. At his father's request, he joined a school where, in addition to studying various academic subjects, he became skilled at sports such as martial arts and archery. Okay, so this page talks about the Buddha's birth. Actually, but generally the story's detail here, I find it very nice, and I thought I wanted to read because it gives you a snapshot of important events in the Buddha's life. So at least you have an understanding. It doesn't give too much detail, nor does it give you very little detail. So it gives you enough details to understand important events in the Buddha's life. For example, his birth. His mother had a dream of an elephant, and also, when the mother gave birth, he gave no pain, and she had a vision that the gods came to bathe her. Ablution literally means purification by water, washing by water. Okay, ablution usually is a ritual bath where it is used to cleanse the body and also cleanse. It's like a spiritual cleansing as well. So in Buddhism, we also have rituals of purifying. Perhaps to bless a particular, purifying and blessing a statue, purifying an area. So usually it's by water. Water is one of the most common, and I think in many religions they use water a lot to bless and purify places. Purify the energy. And the father, when he was born, he was presented, and there was a prophecy which was uncanny because it was really true. He could either be a potential great ruler, a monarch, a universal monarch. A universal monarch is someone a Chakravartin, basically is the king of the whole world. So apparently, this is according to Indian mythology, that in the past, in the distant past, in ancient times, there were great rulers that ruled the entire world. Okay, they are known as Chakravartin. And it takes someone of special potential to achieve that feat. So the Buddha is born with the marks and signs of someone who can achieve that feat. It could be either a worldly ruler or a spiritual ruler. So a worldly ruler is a Chakravartin, a spiritual ruler is a Buddha. Okay, so, and the way it's told here is very traditional. The way it's worded is very, very traditional in the sense that the way it talks, because there's some accounts of the Buddha that kind of does not tell you certain details, right? So I thought it's very nice. And so the Buddha, since he was an extraordinary being, was extremely intelligent, highly intelligent. So he was prodigious. He can memorize things. He was a polyglot. You know what's a polyglot? Someone who can master multiple languages, and he was phenomenal in sense of, how much did he say, 64 languages. If you go on YouTube and you type polyglot, POLYGLOT, and you will see a host of videos of various people, usually quite young, teenagers or kids, and they are polyglots. They have mastered many languages. They can switch from one language to another to another to another. I think the most I've seen was 30 over languages, but this is 64. It's incredible. Because what they do is they master one language. Mastering a language is not just being able to translate a few sentences. It's being able to speak and converse. And each language, mind you, is not an easy feat, because each language has their own grammar and their own syntax structure, the structure. Because some languages, the right grammar is very different from another, so it's not an easy feat. So the Buddha, basically, this part of the story tells you how unusually talented, intelligent and talented the Buddha was. All right. So next page. The prince would take every opportunity to convey spiritual meanings and encourage others to follow spiritual paths. At one time, when he was taking part in an archery contest, he declared, "With the bow of meditative concentration, I will fire the arrow of wisdom and kill the tiger of ignorance of all living beings." He then released the arrow, and it flew straight through 5 iron tigers and 7 trees before disappearing into the earth. By witnessing demonstrations such as this, thousands of people developed faith in the prince. Sometimes Prince Siddhartha would go into the capital city of his father's kingdom to see how the people live. During these visits, he would come into contact with many old and sick people, and on one occasion he saw a corpse. These encounters left a deep impression on his mind and led him to realize that all living beings, without exception, have to experience the sufferings of birth, sickness, aging, death. Because he understood the laws of reincarnation, he also realized that living beings experience these sufferings not just once, but again and again, in life after life without cessation. Seeing how all living beings are trapped in this vicious circle of suffering, he felt deep compassion for them and developed a sincere wish to free all of them from their suffering. Realizing that only a fully enlightened Buddha has the wisdom and power to help all living beings in this way, he resolved to leave the palace and retire to the solitude of the forest, where he would engage in profound meditation until he attained enlightenment. So basically, the Buddha was not just intelligent, he was also extremely compassionate. The compassion that the Buddha exuded came from no one. It didn't come from the father, it didn't come from the mother, it didn't come from the caretakers, the wet nurse, his childhood friends, the palace guards. Nobody teach him to be kind. It came from him, from within. Same thing like Rinpoche and the incarnate lamas. One of the hallmarks of an incarnate lama is they are extremely kind, conscientious, especially towards animals, and they will exhibit that kind of signs. So from a very, very young age, because normal children, what they do is they like to play, and sometimes they play with bugs and they kill them. So they don't have that kind of compassion that way. So for Tulkus and for the Buddha himself, when he was very young, he had a natural compassion that arises from within. Nobody taught him. Okay? So that means that it is from past lives realizations, past lives practice, surfacing. The imprints are very strong. The stronger your imprints, the quicker, the younger you are, it will arise. If your imprints are not very strong, your spiritual imprints are not very strong, perhaps you meet the Dharma much later on when you're older, when you can think. For Rinpoches, for people who are, not just Rinpoches, for people who are extremely practiced, who meditated, who contemplated, who practiced a lot in the previous life, the imprints are very strong. That's what they say. So the imprints are very strong, so it will surface when they're young. So that's why the more you practice, the quicker in your next life the imprints will surface. Otherwise, you will go through life, experience all the sufferings blindly, ignorantly, whatever it is, and then only you meet your Lama or the Dharma, and then you start to practice. Some of us perhaps like in this life, in our 20s, in our 30s. So we you see, when we meet the Dharma, that doesn't mean we automatically become attained. So what happens is we need to practice. We start to practice, we start the journey, and we continue where we left off. So if we have practiced a lot in the previous lives, it is important to practice and to contemplate and to develop realization so that the imprints will be very strong. The deeper your realization of the teachings, a deep realization of the teachings means what? It means that you not just you study and you read or you listen to Pastor David, or it doesn't mean that. It means that it has moved you. It moves you to change your lifestyle. It moves you to realize truths in your life, to face the truth, to face the condition you are, and to do something about it, and to follow a spiritual path, and to find deeper meaning in spirituality rather than in worldly life. So that is a realization. It's not just listening, reading profound philosophy and all that. It is the teachings that moved you, and you enact the change. Okay, that is a realization on a very, very simple level. All right. Okay, let me see. I have Bradley. Good evening, welcome, and Chodak Tachidele. Thank you for joining us. It's I don't know what time is it in Nepal, but it's 10 p.m. here. Good evening from here, from Malaysia. Okay, let's continue with the Buddha's life. Next page. To finish this chapter, it's not very long. It's about another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. I hope I can finish today. I got another half an hour. I will try to finish this today, and then ask me any questions. And because I think the next chapter is just as interesting, and perhaps will, let me see. Oh, it's not very long, but it has a lot of. I quite like it less. Understanding the mind, the next chapter. Okay, anyway, let's continue. When the people of the Shakya kingdom realized that the prince intended to leave the palace, they requested the king to arrange a marriage for him in hopes that this would cause him to change his mind. The king agreed and soon found him a suitable bride, the daughter of a respected Shakya family named Yashodhara. Prince Siddhartha, however, had no attachment to worldly pleasures because he realized that objects of attachment, like poisonous flowers, which initially appear to be attractive but eventually give rise to great pain. Hold on. My screen went blank. Okay, it's fine now. Give rise to great pain. He resolved to leave the palace and to attain enlightenment, remain unchanged, but to fulfill his father's wishes and to bring temporary benefit to the Shakya people, he agreed to marry Yashodhara. However, even though he remained in the palace as a royal prince, he devoted all his time and energy to serving the Shakya people in whatever way he could. When he was 29 years old, the prince had a vision in which all the Buddhas of the 10 directions appeared to him and spoke in unison, saying, "Previously, you resolved to become a conqueror Buddha, so that you could help all living beings trapped in a cycle of suffering. Now is the time for you to accomplish this." The prince went immediately to his parents and told them of his intention. "I wish to retire to a peaceful place in the forest where I can engage in deep meditation and quickly attain full enlightenment. Once I attain enlightenment, I will be able to repay the kindness of all living beings, and especially the great kindness that you have shown me. Therefore, I request your permission to leave the palace." When his parents heard this, they were shocked. Can you imagine if you said that to your parents? "I'm going to meditate in the forest." Yes. They were shocked, and the king refused to grant his permission. Okay, so this part is family. This part has a lot of criticism from people who don't understand Buddhism and don't understand the Buddha's intent. They criticize the Buddha because they say that the Buddha was unfilial. The Buddha had given up his responsibility. What kind of person is that? How can the Buddha give up his responsibility as a son to his father? Isn't that bad, extremely bad karma? So it depends on intent. You see, for some of us, Why I say intent is because it's very important for us to understand karma. Everything that karma, which we will be covering in a later chapter, intent is most important. So in this case, the Buddha's intent was what? Was he to escape his parents? To run away? It was not. It was that he had a deeper reason, and his deeper reason was haunting him day and night. Because why? There was no, because his wisdom is especially sharper than everyone else, in the sense that he saw through that being a son, a filial son, in this case, will not guarantee that everyone will be happy. His father will be happy. He will be fine. He will not guarantee that he will not suffer. He will not guarantee that his parents will not suffer. He will not guarantee anything. There's no solution in this, because the sufferings will keep coming. The problems will keep coming. The problems of being, although the trappings are beautiful, it's like a poisonous plant. They said, that's what the Buddha had realized. It is beautiful. There's a beautiful wife. There's, he also had bore her a son. What's his name? Rahula. It's not mentioned here. The Buddha has a son, Rahula, and through the wife Yashodhara. Okay, so the son became an arhat later on. The wife, I think, was also one of the nuns. So later was ordained a nuns. But anyway, the point about this is that Rinpoche always said that Rinpoche gave a very good explanation. I think I'll refer to Rinpoche, what Rinpoche said about this part of it, because Rinpoche referenced this before and said that it is not being unfilial, the Buddha, it's out of great compassion for his family. So that the reason for him to leave is compassion. It is not escape, because there is no escape. We are all trapped. We are trapped by the four things that was mentioned earlier in the previous. Remember what it was? It was birth, sickness, aging, and death. Actually, there are four sides. What motivated was not mentioned. These four things was four sides. Was a lady giving birth, if I'm not mistaken, a very old man, ill, a dead corpse, a funeral. He saw a funeral, a dead corpse. And the last thing was he saw a mendicant. And he realized that, and he saw the mendicant and the peaceful aura of the mendicant, and he realized the path is not to experience all that, just go through it as you can experience it. The path is to realize it, and the path of realization will be path of meditation practice. Hence, the mendicant gave him an idea. Enlightenment will be through contemplation, through spirituality, not through worldly life. It gave him an insight. Okay, so that's why the Buddha, for a long time, he didn't immediately make the decision to escape. He was thinking about it day and night, and finally, it is said in the story, the gods actually requested him and reminded him, because in his previous life he made a promise to become a Buddha, a conqueror Buddha. A conqueror Buddha is not a king who conquered enemies. A conqueror Buddha is someone who conquered himself. And I really like that. Imagine conquering yourself, overcoming yourself, becoming a better supreme being. Okay, let me see who's on and any questions. Okay. Hello, Joyce. Oh, very nice. It's exactly 12 hours. I think you were before us, I think. 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. We are 10 o'clock on Tuesday night. And Shakyamuni says, I think Buddha Shakyamuni's renunciation is one of the purest acts of love, not just for his family, but all sanctioned beings. Very nice. Yeah, it's true. It's all sanctioned because he not only see it for his parents, for his mother, for his family. He see it for everyone, and he saw it even when he went out of the palace. Even when the father made sure everyone was young and happy. And there's another version of the story that details this tour out of the city, out of the palace, and even though the father tried so hard to shelter the son from all sorts of hardships, but the truth eventually came through, broke through. And he's just a little glimmer of an old man, of a sick man, of a sick person, of a dying person, a dead person, of a holy being, already immediately opened something in him. That's how powerful the Buddha's imprints are. All right. So anyway, let me see. Where am I? The next page is very powerful. Prince Siddhartha said to his father, "Father, if you can give me permanent freedom from the sufferings of birth, sickness, aging, and death, I will stay in the palace. But if you cannot, I must leave and make my life, human life, meaningful." The king tried all means to prevent his son from leaving the palace, in the hopes that the prince might change his mind. He surrounded him with a retinue of beautiful women, dancers, singers, and musicians, who day and night used their charms to please him. In case the prince might attempt a secret escape, he posted guards around the palace walls. However, the prince's determination to leave the palace and enter a life of meditation could not be shaken. One night he used his miracle powers to send the guards and attendants on a deep sleep while he made his escape from the palace with the help of a trusted aide. After they had traveled for 6 miles, the prince dismounted from his horse, bade farewell to his aide, Channa, who is recognized as Chujang Rinpoche's previous life. He then cut off his hair, because in those days, it was the norm for royalty to have long, beautiful, lustrous hair tied up in a certain way. So he cut it and he threw it in the air. He cut his hair and threw it into the sky, where it was caught by the gods of the land of the 33 heavens. One of the gods then offered the prince the saffron robes of religious mendicant. The prince accepted these and gave his royal garments to the god in exchange. In this way, he ordained himself as a monk. Siddhartha then made his way to a place near Bodh Gaya in India, where he found a suitable site for meditation. There he remained, emphasizing a meditation called space-like concentration on the Dharmakaya, in which he focused single-pointedly on the ultimate nature of all phenomena. So basically, the Buddha was troubled, it is said, and he told his father that if you have a solution for what I seek, I will stay. But if you don't, I have to leave. I need to find the solution to this, or rather to overcome this. All right. So he left. It was something that came from within. It was a burning desire that was welling up, that was burbling up, like a. So I can imagine that Buddha was probably quite emotional, because it was a very powerful experience, because you just have to visualize, I don't know, that's how I see it. And in the Little Buddha, they did it okay, but not particularly well. In the movie Little Buddha, I like to reference it because that's the only movie I know. The Siddhartha, the Buddha, took ashes and put it in his father's hands because he kept it. When he saw the funeral pyre, he took the ashes. He realized that all of us will become like this. We will be ashes. And it was very powerful. And that's what the Buddha had recommended all of us do. Meditate on death. Meditate on that we will one day die. A lot of things don't really matter anymore because our time is short. So he put it in his Buddha's hand, the father's hand, and he said that, if you have a solution for all that was mentioned, okay, I'll cut it short. Then I'll stay. Otherwise, I have to leave. So there's some slight departure there. I think this is from a traditional account. The traditional account is that the Buddha had actually made everyone fall asleep. But some accounts that I read was actually the gods made everyone fall asleep into a deep stupor, and then he made his escape. And then when he threw the hair, and he exchanged the robes, it was not a god, it was actually just another passerby, another mendicant or a beggar or something like that. So he exchanged his princely robes for rags. For the first time, the prince, who had never worn rags, he wore the best silks, the most beautiful clothes, just like some of us, the most branded clothes. So he exchanged that for rags because his pursuit is now within. So that is just a symbolic of a mannequin's life, because he's turned his pursuits inwards. All right. So it's very powerful. And then he actually, it's not mentioned that he had some teachers who taught him meditation, but he surpassed all of his teachers. All the greatest teachers of the day that taught meditation, he surpassed all of them very quickly. And they wanted him to be the guide, or the successor, their successor, to guide their whatever group they have. But he didn't want, because he realized his goal is not that. It's not to be a guru of a group. His goal is to be the Buddha. So he had to continue on his pursuit. So eventually he came to Bodh Gaya. All right. After training in this meditation for 6 years, he realized that he was very close to attaining full enlightenment. And so he walked to Bodh Gaya, where on the full moon day of the 4th month of the lunar calendar, he seated himself beneath the Bodhi tree in the meditation posture and vowed not to rise from meditation until he had attained perfect enlightenment. With this determination, he entered space-like concentration on the Dharmakaya. As dusk fell, Devaputra Mara, the chief of all the demons or Maras in this world, tried to disturb Siddhartha's concentration by conjuring up many fearful apparitions. He manifested hosts of terrifying demons, some throwing spears, some firing arrows, some trying to burn him with fire, and some hurling boulders and even mountains at him. Siddhartha, however, remained completely undisturbed. Through the force of his concentration, the weapons, rocks, and mountains appeared to him as a rain of fragrant flowers, and the raging fires became like offerings of rainbow light. To abandoning his meditation, Devaputra Mara tried instead to distract him by manifesting countless beautiful women. But Siddhartha responded by developing even deeper concentration. In this way, he triumphed over the demons of this world, which is why he subsequently became known as a conqueror Buddha. Siddhartha then continued with his meditation until dawn, when he entered the Vajra-like concentration. With this concentration, which is a very last mind of a limited being, he removed the final veils of ignorance from his mind, and the next moment became a Buddha, a fully enlightened being. Actually, there's a little bit more details to this. The interpretation of this is two ways. One way, you can see it as a physical Mara come to distract him. Another interpretation is the Mara is a manifestation of the Buddha's ego and negative karma, come to disturb him, to come to stop him. Because why? When you want to do virtuous things, when you want to do Dharma, our negative karma, for some reason, it's like magnetic. It will pull together. It will create obstacles that will stop us. Because why? Our negative karma is actually very powerful. Our store of negative karma is huge. All of us have a lot of negative karma, and it's so powerful, this force, that it can create obstacles to stop us. So sometimes when we enter the Dharma, we will experience difficulties. It's important to endure it. It's important to think of it from a higher perspective and not think, maybe Dharma is not for me because, I've got all these obstacles. No. If you overcome the obstacles, you achieve something more. Something beyond not just this life, future lives as well. Because very few things we do in this life, in fact, nothing we do aside from Dharma, from spiritual practice, will affect our future lives. In fact, we will only create causes for our future suffering. So whatever we do in Dharma is whatever little or a lot we do in Dharma is what will affect our future life. Okay, remember this. So all the obstacles that we experience in the Dharma, we should be inspired by the Buddha. That's the whole point of this part of the story. The conqueror Buddha, who all the demons raining all these things at the Buddha, but he see through it and he realized they were just manifestations of his negative karma, and he could see through it. So we also have to see through our obstacles and not just be distracted or be, let it overcome us. Our obstacles overcome us. Okay, I have some questions here. That's interesting. I didn't realize Okay, Sharon had posted some number of things. Hello, Melky. Good evening. Foresights, thank you very much. And Mr. Lam, you asked this. Pastor, Shakyamuni's parents became his disciples, right? Okay, Mr. Lam, good question. As far as recalled, I think the Buddha came back to the father to teach. The mother passed away when the Buddha was young. Okay, the story is like this. It was not mentioned because this gloss over, it's just a summary of his life. But actually, the Buddha's mother passed away when he was young, not long after giving birth, and so it was the mother's sister who took care of him and became like his mother. So that's the one that Sharon wrote, that stepmother. Actually, it's his aunt. And Mahaprajapati Gotami. That's the one. She took care of him, and the real mother ascended to heaven because the incredible merits of carrying a child of such significance, of such benefit to the world, had amassed tremendous amount of merits for the mother. Yes, just from carrying him as a child. So it was a lot of merits for the mother, so she ascended into Tushita heaven. And the Buddha actually, upon enlightenment, later on, he ascended with his power as a Buddha. He ascended to repay the kindness of his mother, and gave her teachings, specific teachings that will help her as a deva. She's a worldly god at that time. She's not enlightened, she's a worldly god. So gave teachings for her of how to practice. As a worldly god, it is possible to practice. It is possible, but it's also very hard. Okay? And Bradley, you asking, was Shakyamuni already enlightened from his past lives? Okay, there is interpretations of this. What you're asking is from a different view. Some viewpoint said that the Buddha had been enlightened from a different age and then manifesting enlightenment again to guide people of this age because the karma is strong. The affinity of the beings of this time is strong, so he manifests. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Some interpretations say he was not. He was a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is someone on the path who had tremendous ability to benefit, but still limited. Okay, still limited by the Buddha's own ignorance and the Buddha's own limitations because he is not fully enlightened. Alright, so I think that's the question so far. Okay, let's continue. So he was attacked by the demons, but the Buddha in meditation had already achieved a level of concentration that he's able to penetrate through this mirage of demons and all that. Actually, it's not. It's his negative karma. So he's able to make them appear as flowers. When you have achieved emptiness, a level of realization, there's not enlightenment, but emptiness, a realization of the nature of reality, right? You're able to purify tremendous amount of negative karma, just like you purify this attack from your negative karma, and become like flowers. So when we engage in purification practices, we rely on the Buddha. That's why we can rely on Buddhas for purification, because they can purify our karma. They can lighten it. most of us, most likely, we will not be able to purify completely like the Buddha and become flowers to us. Our obstacle cannot be flowers to us. It can. I mean, not cannot be flowers. What I mean is we cannot completely remove them, all our negative karma, because we have not attained realization of emptiness. But we can lighten the load. We can purify it to be lesser. Okay, by the power of the Buddha's realization of emptiness. All right. Don't go too deep into the emptiness, just to let you know that realization helps you to accomplish that. Because when we realize form is emptiness, emptiness is form, that's emptiness now, okay? So what happens is you're able to, when you realize it's not intellectual understanding, because there's no intellectual understanding of emptiness. It is something to be perceived with your mind, to see. Perceive means to see with your mind. So when you're able to see the reality of the true reality of existence, you're able to purify, to dissolve things, to dissolve your negative karma, especially your negative karma. So by the power of the Buddha's emptiness, you invoke their realization, you recite their prayers, you're able to purify your karma. All right. So just like the Buddha, purifying all of basically, I'm making a connection. Purifying all the attack of the maras, which is actually his own karma, because by realization of emptiness, it becomes flowers. So it's just symbolic. Okay, let's go to the next one, next page. There is nothing that the Buddha does not know, because he was awakened from the sleep of ignorance and has removed all obstructions from his mind. He knows everything of past, present, and future directly and simultaneously. Moreover, Buddha has great compassion that is completely impartial, embracing all living beings without discrimination. He benefits all living beings without exception by emanating various forms throughout the universe and by bestowing his blessings on their minds. Through receiving Buddha's blessings, all beings, even the lowliest animals, sometimes develop peaceful and virtuous states of mind. Eventually, through meeting an emanation of Buddha in the form of a spiritual guide, everyone will have the opportunity to enter the path to liberation and enlightenment. As the great Indian Buddhist scholar Nagarjuna said, there is no one who has not received help from Buddha. 49 days after Buddha attained enlightenment, the gods Brahma and Indra requested him to teach, saying, O Buddha, treasure of compassion, living beings are like blind people in constant danger of falling into the lower realms. Other than you, there is no protector in this world. Therefore, we beseech you, please rise from meditative equipoise and turn the wheel of Dharma. As a result of this request, Buddha rose from meditation and taught the first wheel of Dharma. These teachings, which include the Sutra of the Four Noble Truths and other discourses, are the principal source of the Hinayana or lesser vehicle of Buddhism. So this part is very important to understand because the nature of the Buddha, which is he is enlightened. So when he's enlightened, he has overcome all limitations of his mind, and he had also perceived things as they truly really are. So he's able to perceive far more than any other being, except for another Buddha, can. So basically, all knowledge, everything that is to be known, can be perceived by the Buddha, can be seen by the Buddha, and that's what you can achieve as a fully enlightened being. It's not a god. He is not a god. He is a limited being before, but became extraordinary, became a Buddha. And why does the Buddha was contemplating? Because he realized that what he realized is not easy. It's not easy to come by. It's very, very difficult. One. Another thing is there must be a cause before there's a result. He cannot just go out and teach without someone requesting. And he was waiting for that moment that someone would request, someone would ask, or something was to kickstart something to kickstart. He cannot come from him because that's just the way things are. No, it's not just the way things are. Because if the cause is not created when he gives teachings, there will be no karma to receive. That's why it's important that all of us do not wait for Rinpoche to give teachings, or for me to give teachings. It's important that you ask. If you have a question, you have to ask, so that you create the cause for you to understand, for you to realize the teachings, for you to understand the Dharma, for you to deepen your understanding, for you to realize things. All right, a cause must be created. If not, even someone can just tell you the most powerful discourses, and if the cause is not created, it will not enter. It will not enter into your mind. You will not understand it, or you will not gain realization, because the cause is not created. Actually, by right, before teachings, especially Rinpoche, someone who has attained your guru, give teachings, we have to make mandala offerings. And we have to request the guru to please give teachings. A proper request to the teacher to create the cause. And that's usually symbolic, by the, when Rinpoche, when the teacher comes, you make the 8 auspicious signs. The 8 auspicious signs was manifested by the gods, as an offering to the Buddha to give his teaching. Okay, they create the cause for us to receive the Buddha's teachings. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope I didn't miss any questions. Okay, so next page. Later, Buddha taught that the second and third wheels of Dharma, which include the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras and the Sutra discriminating the intention respectively, these teachings are the source of the Mahayana, or great vehicle of Buddhism. In the Hinayana teachings, Buddha explained how to attain liberation from suffering for oneself alone. In the Mahayana teachings, he explains how to attain full enlightenment or Buddhahood for the sake of others. Both traditions flourish in Asia, at first in India and then gradually in other surrounding countries, including Tibet. Now they are also beginning to flourish in the West. The reason why Buddha's teachings are called the Wheel of Dharma is as follows. It is said that in ancient times there were great kings. Listen carefully to this part. The reason why, I repeat, the reason why Buddha's teachings are called the Wheel of Dharma is as follows. It is said that in ancient times there were great kings known as Chakravartin kings who used to rule the entire world. These kings had many special possessions, including this precious wheel in which they would travel around the world. Wherever the precious wheel went, the king would control the region. Buddha's teachings are said to be like a precious wheel because wherever they spread, the people of that area will have the opportunity to control their minds by putting them into practice. Dharma means protection. This is a definition in this book. There are other definitions, but Dharma means protection. Some define Dharma as the law or the teachings. By practicing Buddha's teachings, we protect ourselves from suffering and problems. All the problems are experienced during daily life originate in ignorance. And the method for eliminating ignorance is to practice the Dharma. Practicing Dharma is a supreme method for improving the quality of our human life. The quality of life depends not upon external development or material progress, but upon inner development of peace and happiness. For example, in the past, many Buddhists lived in poor and underdeveloped countries, but they were able to find pure, lasting happiness by practicing what Buddha had taught. If we integrate Buddha's teachings into our daily life, we will be able to solve all our inner problems and attain a truly peaceful mind. Without inner peace, outer peace is impossible. If we first establish peace within our minds by training in spiritual paths, outer peace will come naturally. But if we do not, world peace will never be achieved, no matter how many people campaign for it. Buddhism or Buddha Dharma in Buddha's teachings and the inner experiences or realizations of these teachings. Buddha gave 84,000 teachings. All these teachings and the inner realizations of them constitute Buddhism. Buddhism can be divided in two parts, basic Buddhism and advanced Buddhism. The essential teachings of basic Buddhism are now explained in the remainder of part 1 of this book, and the other more advanced teachings are introduced in parts 2 and 3. So that's the end of the chapter, and I am, because my screen froze, so I have to refresh it again. So basically, it's very, 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 very nice. It gives a very good summary to explain how the Buddha, his teachings, first he became enlightened, then he gave the teachings, he was moved to give the teachings, and then the teachings, how it developed, and why does the Buddha give teachings in so many, 84,000? It is said the traditional number for amount of teachings that the Buddha gave was 84,000 teachings. Okay, is because that's the many dispositions of the mind. The human mind has many facets, and all of us are different individual. We have our own individual experiences, our own individual dispositions, but generally our minds have different levels. Okay, different levels in terms of development, spiritual development. So that's why there's the Buddha gave the teachings on the Hinayana, on attaining liberation for oneself. And then the higher teachings, the Mahayana, higher, they call it higher because the motivation is higher. It encompasses more. Because the Hinayana, the lower vehicle, or Hinayana, I know some Theravadan Hinayana don't like the word Hinayana, but they use Theravadan, whatever it is, doesn't matter. That the teachings refer to the scope is about attaining liberation for oneself. Okay, then Mahayana is not superior or inferior. It is about the scope of the motivation of the teachings. Because it's important, because the way it's the scope and motivation will define how the teachings are given. So Mahayana refers to a scope of benefiting enlightened, of benefiting all beings in order to become enlightened. So the Buddha gave these kind of teachings, and actually there's another one which is the Vajrayana, giving, practicing through the Vajra method, or the method of quick attainments through Tantra, through Tibetan Buddhism, or not necessarily Tibetan Buddhism, but on Tantra basically. Okay, so the term usually they use is Vajrayana, Tantra. They all refer to the same set of teachings, that there's more advanced. All right, but the scope is still Mahayana. I hope you understand the scope, what scope means, and why they are different. Because the human mind has many dispositions, so the Buddha had to give teachings to suit every single mind, and hence that's why the given like that. So the Mahayana and the Theravadan, some of the teachings within them seem to be not the same, doesn't gel, because the scope is different. It's referring to a different audience completely. All right. So, and I like what it says here at the end. If you want to be happy and contented, we have to practice the Dharma, and we have to find peace, right, from within. Dharma is about internalizing within. It's not about an external, it's about internal, because we spend our whole life searching for external happiness, business, family, material goods, material possessions. We spend our whole lives, looking for something external, some sort of happiness from external, and until now we have not achieved it. I can guarantee you, until now, none of you guys have achieved any form of real lasting happiness. You achieve something momentary. What it says is momentary. In Buddhism, we don't deny that material things and family and all gives us happiness. We're not denying it, but we're saying that it's momentary. It doesn't last. It comes at a price, or sometimes both. It is momentary and it comes at a price. So whatever it is, Buddhism tries to tell you to find happiness not just from this level, from within. At the moment, if you want to shift completely internal, it's not possible because we are very attached to external. So that's why we need to have a balance between internal and external. Okay, so I'm just reinterpreting this part of what Geshe Kelsang is talking about. finding happiness from, you know. So that's why when you, in order to achieve world peace, you have to achieve inner peace first. You have to achieve peace, happiness. Peace and happiness is synonymous. It's the same thing. It's from within, from inside your mind, from within the workings of your mind, from your intention, from your thinking, from your perspective. It is not, inside your brain. It's from your perspective of things. And when you're able to change your perspective, you will find real lasting happiness and peace. And what used to bring suffering can be something else. What can bring you lasting joy. So, or whatever that used to, we find really, really, we keep searching for external, we'll find that it's not so important anymore. We divert it to something else. For example, like Dharma. All right. So I just finished pretty much on the dot. It's 10:30 right now. Good. I'm very happy with myself. So because I was looking at the pages, somehow I'm going to read. I thought I was going to read and explain in between. I thought I might take a long time. So my strategy kind of worked in the sense that I only explain at the end of the page, and that's kind of worked. So if you have any questions, let me know. Next week we'll be talking about the mind, which is not a very long because it doesn't delve too much. I think because as an introductory book, they don't want to go too technical. So it's only 4 pages. And we might do, let me see. No, we won't do past and future lives. That's a bit long. So we will delve into understanding the mind. And I will try not to complicate too much next week. All right. Any questions so far? So basically, the Buddha's life, we should all know. We do not need to memorize the entire story, but we need to understand the basic important events of his life. His birth, his early childhood, his adulthood, in a sense that what spurred him on to leave the palace, the circumstances to that, and then his life as a mendicant, his enlightenment, and after, and finally his parinirvana. So as Buddhists, what we do is we venerate the Buddha, the major events of the Buddha, which is his birth, his his enlightenment, his teaching, and his parinirvana, the place where he passed away. So this commemorates the important events, and this also is reflected in an area in India where we go for pilgrimage. When we go for pilgrimage, we pay homage to the Buddha for what he had achieved. And then we seek to connect with the Buddha not just because he will bless us and all that, and to ask for good fortune and all that, and to bless us, is also to connect with future Buddhas, because apparently the places where he manifested these activities are power places. And these power places are extremely powerful in the sense that when we spiritually connect there, when we make aspirations there, powerful aspirations, we pray to the Buddha, we make aspirations of enlightenment or to achieve the Buddha's deeds, what happens is it will create the cause for us in the future to be back in the same place when the next Buddha comes, and to be among his circle, because most likely will be still around, unless you're so attained, you achieve Vajrayana, achieve enlightenment through Vajrayana or whatever practices that you have. Then you don't need to go through this. But most likely, the rest of us, we need to take an insurance policy, and that's why Rinpoche recommends all of us to go for pilgrimage to these places to create that insurance policy, a spiritual insurance policy. All right. So, and then, but more than that, the real actual pilgrimage is not Bodh Gaya. The real actual pilgrimage is your guru's residence. It's where your guru lives or had lived. And like for us, it will be KFR. His reliquary stupa will be a pilgrimage. It should be a pilgrimage for us. Pilgrimage means what? From time to time, we go and connect. Because this is not India, KFR is not India for you guys, so it should be easier for you to come from time to time to pay homage, to connect with Rinpoche, to pray. And while waiting for Rinpoche's incarnation is for Rinpoche to return to us. But when Rinpoche is found and discovered, we can still go and pay homage and to Rinpoche's stupa, to pray to Rinpoche, to enact deeds in this life. So it doesn't, it carries on. And also along the way, to bless our practice, for us to gain realizations. The more realizations you gain. Rinpoche is wonderful if you can do a tremendous amount of Dharma work, build this, build that, fundraise this, fundraise that, feed a million children. It's amazing to do all that. But what is even better than all that is if we have gained some sort of realization in our mind. That will be more powerful, and that will be a thing that we can really bring to our next life. Yes, all this Dharma work, the merits will be brought over, but it's more powerful because all this Dharma work, all this feeding the homeless, all this doing the work, volunteer work, all this sadhanas we do is ultimately to fuel our realization. Okay, that's the end goal. Not the end game, but the end goal. End goal of our practice is to gain some sort of realization in the teachings, to realize the teachings, to realize the impermanence of this life, to realize the preciousness of the human life, to realize karma, past and future lives exist, and to seize this opportunity. When we realize it, there's an automatic urgency. All right? So that's what it's all about. Okay, thank you very much. I'll come to an end. I'll do dedication. Janju Sencho Rinpoche, Maki Pana Gyushe, Kebaya Mami Payang, Gone Go to Pewa Show, Tony Tonga Rinpoche, Maki Pana Gyushe, Kebaya Mami Payang, Gone Go to Pewa Show, Daso Chen Sapage Wadi, Tanandra Kunla Kampada, Jebo Joso, Lawson Dropa, Tanti Purinda, Sa She Show, Kewa Gundo Yana Lamada, Jemmy Choki Pala Long Choching, Sada Langi on Terrachoni, Doji Changi Gopan Yuto Show, Gewadi Yutuda, Lama Sangi Juni, Jua Chikan Malupa. De sala go basho chuji jabo songa ba chosu nama pewala geki shama chiwada tuni malo shama sho dara shenge do sundan jurach leteni gyawa loson dropa e tampari ba gyu je nimo dela santala nemi konya dela shin yes tatu dela pel controson jigulo controson modoso controson ta shi sho jasu lama kutsorap tun ching namka chili joki ke bada loson tami jomi samsongi dromo sa tatu ne gyu ganri rawe ko shingam de penan de malo kyong in chen rezen one tenzen gaso Shabi City Badu Dang Yuji Hong Tombing or Maluba Denedala Saduso Godan Debalojana gave us shoot and sell. Okay, the merits of this little session, Dharma session on the Buddha's life, on an introduction to Buddhism, is dedicated to the sponsor Ong Amo. Alright? May all sanctioning beings be blessed by Dodge student and be close to the Dharma. Thank you and good night.